My obeisances to all the devotees today, and my obeisances always to Vishnu Chaitanya Prabhu and Srivas Prabhu. They are guiding all of you so nicely, and we thank everyone for coming together. I'm always excited when given the opportunity to speak and remember about Krishna in this manner. And today it's so nice because we're just a few days away from the most auspicious Gur Purnima festival, which is the blessed appearance of their Lord, Sri Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And today we kick off a series of Gaura-līlā, and I've been given the service of speaking on Ādi-līlā, which is the beginning part of the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So let me begin by creating an auspicious atmosphere to pray to their lordships, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai, so that whatever we speak, will not be offensive and will be sweet and pleasing to them and to the devotees. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandro Jaya, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandro Jaya, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Jaya Dvaita Chandro Jaya, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Chandra, and all glories to the devotees of Lord Gauranga. All of you are considered in philosophy and according to Krishna consciousness as Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, because you're all devotees of Lord Gauranga. It's stated so nicely in Bhagavatam. I think the verse is 12:50 of Srimad Bhagavatam. And this is a festival that we're looking forward to. Tadeva Ramyam Ruchiram Navam Navam Tadeva Shashvam Manasa Mahotsadvam Tadeva Shukar Navashoshanam Rinam Yad Uttama Shloka Yasho Anugiyate. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Prabhu. So you can see it's a beautiful verse. Those words that describe the glories of the all-famous personality of Godhead, those words are attractive, they're relishable, and they're ever fresh. In fact, these words describing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Krishna, they are considered to be a perpetual festival for the mind, Maha Utsavam. So therefore, this mind, which is normally dried up like an ocean of misery, instead, when we hear about Katha and we hear about the wonderful pastimes of Mahaprabhu, then it is like a festival for the mind. We all become so happy, so peaceful. It's a weekday. Many of you have joined us after work. You may be tired. You may even be between work. But despite that, by hearing about the beautiful pastimes of the Lord, we pray that He will always dry up the ocean of misery in our mind and give us a festival that we can always look forward to. So the most important point from Ādi-līlā that we should take away is that Mahaprabhu is non-different from Krishna. This is a very important point. I've said this before in Chaitanya, in Prabhupada's Lilamrita. There's an episode where Prabhupada is about to give initiation to two boys. And he asked them, who is Krishna? And they say he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then he goes on to say, who's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? And one of the boys says that he's an incarnation of Krishna. And then Prabhupada says he is Krishna. So this is a very important point, actually. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj, the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, which has been translated beautifully for us by Srila Prabhupada. He says there that to fulfill a particular desire within his mind, Lord Krishna, known as Vrajendra Kumara, he decided to descend on this planet Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Chaitanya's advent and his coming is also predicted clearly in Srimad Bhagavatam, which, if you look at it from a timeline, was written millions of years ago before Lord Chaitanya descended into this world. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sangopangashtra Parshadam Yagnei Sankirtana Prayai yajantihi sumedasaha. I think it's 11.5.32 of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is very clearly stated there that in this age of Kali, people who are endowed with sufficient intelligence, they will worship the Lord. The Lord will be accompanied by his associates, and he will perform Sankirtan Yajna, which is the congregational chanting of the holy names. So this verse tells us that in the age of Kali, Krishna will come, but his complexion will not be darkish blue or bluish black. His complexion will be golden. This is a very important thing. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught his disciple and one of the great acharyas, Sanatana Goswami, he taught him how to detect who is a true incarnation or who is non-different from Krishna. He pointed out that there are activities and there are even bodily hues of the incarnation, which is very nicely described in the scriptures. Because since the time of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have seen so many men and personalities and women. They have always posed as God or avatars or avataris. And in the name of that, they have collected money and attracted followers. But such imposters, they cannot fool the experts or the acharyas who know how to read scriptures and understand who is genuine and who is not. Another feature of Ādi-līlā in the beginning part, which is very important for us to understand, is Ādi-līlā. Krishnadas Kaviraj Maharaj clearly sets out what were the external and the internal confidential reasons why Mahaprabhu descended. Why Krishna decided to come into this world. One of the most important points is actually in Ādi-līlā, first chapter, text 4. There it is very nicely stated that it's a beautiful prayer, May the Supreme Lord, who is known as the son of Srimati Sachi Devi, be transcendently situated in the innermost chambers of your heart. He is resplendent with the radiance of molten gold, and he has come to the age of Kali by his causeless mercy. And why has he come? Krishnadas Kaviraj Maharaj says he has come to bestow what no other incarnation has ever before offered. And that is the most sublime, radiant mellow of devotional service, the mellow of conjugal love. So we are very fortunate. Mahaprabhu descended into this world, Krishnadas Kaviraj Maharaj says, because he wanted to give us something that had never been given before. And that is the mellow and the rasa of devotional service. Very often when Krishna came into this world, he would always protect his devotees and kill a demon. But in Kali Yuga, he's not doing that in that manner. He's just propagating free love of God and he's giving devotional service. That is very important. Then the verse after that is equally important. Ādi-līlā, first chapter, 5th verse. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vrikriti Ladini Shakti Asmad Ekad Manav Apibhuvi Pura Deha Bedam Gatautau. It is stated so nicely that the loving affairs, right? The loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna are the transcendental manifestations of the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency. And even though Radha and Krishna are one in identity, our acharyas tell us that previously they separated themselves. They are Radha and Krishna. But now these two transcendental identities have again united in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Such a nice point. Hari Purata Sundara Dyuti Kadamba Sandipitaha Sada Hridaya Kandare Spuratova Sachinandanaha. So therefore, Krishnadas Kaviraj Maharaj says, I bow down to him because he has manifested himself with the sentiment and complexion of Srimati Radha Rani, although he is Krishna himself. Therefore, Krishna wanted to come to this world because he wanted to understand how much love Radharani had for him. And Krishna also wanted to experience the mellow of devotional service from the mood of a devotee, like Srimati Radharani does. And so, this is the reasons why the Lord came. But the Lord never comes without the intervention of devotees. And in this case, the Lord descended because of that great devotee, Advaita Acharya, who was much more older to Krishna, and much more older to Mahaprabhu. Advaita Acharya, Haridas Thakur were great devotees of the Lord. And whenever Advaita Acharya saw the terrible advanced state of Kali Yuga, he would pray very hard, and he would pray by the Ganges river, and he would take Tulsi, and he would offer Ganges, and offer Tulsi, and he would cry out that please, Lord Krishna, please come. and please come to this world to save all who are fallen. So therefore, Advaitacharya always thought to himself, if Krishna appears himself to distribute this cult of bhakti, then only will there be liberation that is possible for these people. So Advaitacharya was very pained to see how the masses of people were not happy because they did not have Krishna consciousness. So one point we should take away from Adi-līlā is that quality of compassion, not just the feeling that I'm getting happiness, that's enough. A true devotee always has compassion, and that compassion is exhibited in how much the devotee wants to give and share Krishna consciousness, just like Advaitacharya did. And because of Advaita Acharya's pleas, by his loud cries, he invited Krishna to appear. And this repeated invitation attracted Krishna, and so he descended. So now we understand why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came from Ādi-līlā. And now in Adi-līlā, it goes on to tell us that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advented himself. He was not born because he's Krishna. So he advented himself in the beautiful town of Navadvip. And he lived his life in this world for 48 years. And he enjoyed his pastimes. By calendar that we know Western, right? He was born in 1486, and he appeared in 1486, and in the year of 1534 thereabouts, he disappeared from this world. So for 24 years, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lived in the Grahastha ashram as a householder. He was always engaged in propagating the harekrishna movement. And after 24 years, he went even deeper into the mellows of devotional service. He accepted the renounced order of life, and he resided for 24 years more at that time in Jagannath Puri. And out of that 24 years at that time, right, the first 6, he continuously traveled, touring India, giving so much mercy everywhere. Sometimes in South India, sometimes in Bengal, and sometimes in Vrindavan. And then for that remaining time, right, of the 18 years, he continuously stayed in Jagannath Puri. And there he would chant the nectarian Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and he inundated everyone there and even the world with love of Krishna. So now in Adi-līlā, all his pastimes of household life are described, right? Being Adi, they are considered to be the early one and the original pastimes. These later pastimes that you will hear will be tomorrow Madhya-līlā, and then there will be Antya-līlā. That is the middle and the final pastimes. All of these pastimes were enacted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? And this Adi-līlā was recorded specifically in summary form by Murari Gupta. And then Madhya-līlā and Antya-līlā, they were later recorded by his secretary, Swarup Damodar. And all of them were kept within a book. So we can understand that the records that we hear about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are not fiction. Please remember that. They were recorded by great spiritual personalities who actually saw the Lord, not just with their eyes, but with the deeper vision of their devotional service. Now, today we are looking at the specifics of Adi-līlā. So in Adi-līlā, there are 4 parts to Mahaprabhu's life. There is the Balya, when he was very young, just born. There's Pauganda, there's Kaishora, and there's Yauvana. So there's childhood, there's early boyhood, then there's later boyhood, and then there is youth. And that covers Adi-līlā. Of course, it's not humanly possible to cover everything, but we will try to at least highlight a few areas of Adi-līlā so that all of us can go back feeling enriched, that we have heard some of the beautiful pastimes of the Lord given by Krishnadas Kaviraj Maharaj. So the Lord appeared in a very wonderful way because long time ago, before the Lord advented, there was a very learned Brahmana, Upendra Mishra. And he was the father of Jagannath Mishra, who would later, right, become the father by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he came to Navadvip to study. And he came there under the direction of a great scholar known as Nilambara Chakravarti. He settled there. He married Nilambara Chakravarti's daughter, Sachi Devi. Sachi Devi, then so Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi, they initially had children. But Chaitanya Charitamrita tells us that she gave birth to 8 children initially. They were all daughters, and they died one after another immediately after birth. After her 9th pregnancy, she gave birth to a son, and she named him Vishwarupa. So it is stated by the author that Lord Krishna Vajendra Kumara, he first caused countless devotees to appear in the form of, they were exalted personalities, but they just appeared to actually purify the womb of Sachi Devi. At last, after Vishwarupa had come into the womb, the Lord then advented himself. Now, Jagannath Mishra was very unhappy at the death of all his children, one after the other. But he desired a son, and so he and his wife worshipped the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. And then he got a son and he named him Vishwarupa, who was actually non-different than the incarnation of Lord Baladev. Whenever Krishna appears, Lord Baladev will appear to actually serve the Lord and receive him. In the same way, Vishwarupa appeared to receive the Lord. So then the husband and wife, Jagannath Mishra, Sachi Devi Mata, they got Vishwarupa as their son, and they were very pleased within their minds. And they began to serve the lotus feet of Govinda. In the month of January, in the year of 1485, right? 1486, he was born, 1485, the Lord appeared. Lord Krishna then entered into the bodies of both Jagannath and Sachi Mata. This is very important. Jagannath Mishra, he said to Sachi Mata, because he could feel the entrance of the Lord coming into his mind and then coming into his heart. And then when he received the Lord in his heart, he transferred the Lord in his heart to the heart and the mind of Sachi Mata. This is exactly how Krishna himself appeared also in his pastime with Devaki Mata and Vasudeva. And Prabhupada describes this transaction from heart to heart as a heart-to-heart transaction, a heart-to-heart relationship. So Sachi Mata became so overwhelmed with happiness, and she felt so effulgent. And she also told her husband that in the evenings, as I'm sitting down, I can see wonderful and brilliant human beings in outer space offering prayers. They were actually the Devatas, actually. And then in a dream one time, she saw the effulgent abode of the Lord enter into her heart. And she saw that from her heart, from his heart, from Jagannath Mishra's heart, the Lord entered into her heart. And she understood that a great personality would soon come into this world. So they continued rendering service to their family deity. And their family deity was a Shalagram Shila of Krishna, actually. When the pregnancy approached 9 months, the Lord did not come. 10 months, he did not come. 11, he did not come. 12, he did not come. On the 13th month, there was still no sign of the delivery of the child. So Jagannath Mishra thought, what is happening? Nobody stays in the womb so long. So he went to see his uncle, right? Nilambara Chakravarti. And he's Sachi Mata's father. He went to see Sachi Mata's father was Nilambara Chakravarti, who would be the grandfather of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he said, please check, because Nilambara Chakravarti was a great astrologer. And then he checked and he said, this wonderful child is going to take birth deliberately in this month, because it is a very, very auspicious time to come. And then, therefore, in that year of 1486, in the month of Falguna, February and March, and in that day, in that evening, it was a full moon day. At that time, the Lord decided to advent. It is stated by Krishnadas Kaviraj Maharaj that the spotless moon of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became visible. What would be the need of moons which are in the air, in the space, which have full of black marks, when the spotless moon of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is there? Now, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going to advent, and the moon was very full, and everyone could see it, Rahu, one of the black planets, decided to cover the full moon. And when it became covered, it became a lunar eclipse. And traditionally, lunar eclipse, all the devotees and all the living entities, they would all enter into the waters of the Ganges and they would chant Hari, 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 because it was auspicious. Therefore, in this way, Mahaprabhu induced the chanting of the Supreme Lord's names before he advented. That is the mood of Mahaprabhu. And by doing that, he indicated to all of us that his main contribution, right, and his main direction and instruction in this day and age of Kali would be the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And that is why he's known as Kali Kale Nama Rupa Krishna Avatara. Nama Haite Haya Sarva Jagadnishtara. In 1722 of Ādi-līlā, it is stated that in this age of Kali, the holy name of the Lord, the harekrishna mantra, is the incarnation of Lord Krishna. If one chants simply the holy name, one associates with the Lord directly. And anyone who does this is certainly delivered. See? Yes, thank you. You can see how beautiful this point is. Therefore, specifically, all of us are in the age of Kali. This holy name is really Krishna. And if we simply means no complications, just be simple and chant. And you will find that you will associate with the Lord directly. No intervention. You can directly taste the wonderful taste of Krishna's name on your tongue. Anyone who does this is certainly delivered. So while the whole world was chanting the holy names of the Lord became very pleased, and he came to this world, and he appeared before Sachi Mata, appeared before Jagannath Mishra. At that time when he appeared, Advaita Acharya in his own house, far away in Shantipur, he started dancing in a pleasing mood. Haridas Thakur was nearby and he took him with him. And together they danced and loudly chanted Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But why they were dancing, no one could understand. They were great devotees. Only they knew why they were dancing. So in this way, everywhere, every devotee became very peaceful and happy. After Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born, a very great devotee, Sita Thakurani, came to the house to see Sachidevi, and she brought many gifts and eatables and dresses and everything. When she saw the newborn child, she was astonished because immediately she knew that this child, right, except for the difference in color, golden in color, this child was none other than Krishna of Gokul himself. So she blessed the newborn child. What did she do? Traditionally, she put fresh grass and paddy on his head. And then she said, may you be blessed with a long duration of life. Devotees are like that. Even though the Lord is always going to have a long, eternal duration of life, but they saw him as a little boy and they associated with him that way. But then Sita Thakurani was also afraid that this child was so auspicious. Supposing something inauspicious like ghosts or witches come, that would not be good for the child. So she gave the child the name Nimai. And this is a very nice point. Nimai comes from the word neem tree. And that is where Mahaprabhu was actually there at the point of his advent. And the neem tree is considered to be very auspicious because it keeps away all kinds of ghosts, ghouls, and goblins. Lord Shiva has these famous hordes, they're known as Dakinis and Sankinis. All of this would go if you had the neem tree. And so she named him Nimai. And that was very auspicious. So little Nimai started growing up. This is the Ādi-līlā time. In the Ādi-līlā time, he was a very small boy. But like a baby, he would cry. But later, all the ladies, they realized that there was something very special to Nimai. What they would do is they would make him cry. They would pinch him. They would do all kinds of mischievous things just to get him to cry. Then when he started crying, they needed to calm him down, right? They realized there was only one way to calm him down. And that was to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And that is the beauty of Mahaprabhu's mercy. That even in the Ādi-līlā, when he was very young, he found a way to get all the devotees to chant. And so therefore, in that way, that was always how the ladies would play with Nimai. One point that comes to mind as we are speaking about it is, it's so nice that Sita Thakurani came to bless Nimai. Yes, he's Krishna. But look at the mood of devotees. We must always never underestimate the importance of blessings. The importance of blessings from devotees when something auspicious happens makes the event even more auspicious. And therefore, devotees should always behave in a way to always attract the mercy and the blessings of other devotees. This is very important. And if you think about how Nimai actually got all these ladies to chant, you can see how much the Lord was invested in trying to create an atmosphere for everyone to chant. And that is going to please Krishna if we do that. We have all created an atmosphere today for us to speak about Krishna. This actually pleases Krishna very much. So now, at the point when he was just born, Nilambara Chakravarti started to calculate the birth moment. And then he started to do his horoscope. And then he called Jagannath Mishra. And privately he said to him, "My dear Jagannath Mishra, this child is unlike any child I've seen in this world. He is a great personality, both in body and both in spirit. In fact, he is none other, right, than such a great personality that this child will one day deliver all the three worlds, all the three worlds." So at that moment, Jagannath Mishra thought, okay, this is very auspicious, wonderful. But he was in the mood, just like Vasudev and Devaki were. They were in the mood to see Nimai as their child. So one day, in Ādi-līlā, what happened was they noticed a very weird and strange phenomenon. They would see, right, footprints on the floor. It was obvious that it was little Nimai. He was walking everywhere, right? He had started to walk. From crawling, he now could walk. And so wherever he walked, whenever Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi saw the feet, they would be shocked because underneath the feet there would be imprints, And on the imprint, when they saw the imprint, it wasn't bare like yours and mine. It had the symbol of the flag, the thunderbolt, the disc, the conch, and the fish. 5. Flag, thunderbolt, disc, conch, and fish. And these are all marks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi refused to believe that it was actually their son who had these on their feet. What they thought was, they thought that the Shalagram Shila was walking around. And because it is non-different from Krishna, they thought that it was actually moving around and putting this insignias and this prints on the floor, actually. But it was not. It was actually little Nimai. Then one more time, little Nimai, right, just like Krishna in Krishna Leela, one day he was playing with all his friends. And suddenly, Mother Sachi brought him a dish. It was filled with rice and sweetmeats and everything. And she asked him, "Sit down, Nimai, and eat it." Then she went to do her household duties. Now, when she came back, the child hid from behind her and started eating dirt. When she came back, the children squealed on him and said, "Nimai is eating dirt, Nimai is eating dirt." And so when Sachimata pulled out Nimai, she said, "What is this? What is this?" She took the dirt, snatched it from the hands of the Lord, and she asked him, "Why are you eating it?" Nimai started to cry, and he inquired from his mother, "Why you are so angry, mother? You've already given me dirt to eat. What is my fault?" So Sachimata was a bit confused. Then Nimai said, fuse rice, sweetmeats, and other eatables, they're all actually different transformations of dirt. This is dirt, that is dirt. What's the difference between anything? So at that point of time, Mother Sachi became astonished. Why are you talking Mayavadi philosophy? Only Mayavadis say everything is the same. They cannot understand that the same thing is manifested in different ways. They say everything is the same. So Mother Sachi was very smart, She wanted to show that this impersonalist philosophy, which was by pretense, brought up by the law, you eat earth, which is transformed into grain. That grain that you eat is nourishing, and you become strong. But if you just eat dirt in its crude state, the body will become diseased instead of becoming nourished. It will be destroyed. And then she gave another example. A water pot, my dear boy. It's a transformation of dirt. But with the water pot, I can bring water very easily. But if I just poured water into a lump of dirt, the lump would just soak up the water and my labor is useless. And now when Nimai heard that, he smiled and he said, "Mother, now I can understand this philosophy. I will not eat dirt again. Whenever I'm hungry, I will just turn to you and ask you for milk." And Mother Sachi became so happy and her heart melted. So little Nimai was showing us the fallacy of the Mayavadi argument, and that actually bhakti, at the root of bhakti, is the understanding that anything and everything in this world is made by the mercy of the Lord, animate or inanimate. Isha vasya midam sarvam, everything. But at the same time, the Lord has made everything for a purpose. And as a devotee, we don't discriminate like the Mayavadis do. But what we do state is that everything is of value if it is used for Krishna. And that is what that point is about. Then one more time in this wonderful Ādi-līlā, the Lord actually was a little boy now, little bit taller. And one day, a very, very pious and wonderful Brahmana, he was touring all the country, traveling from one place to the other. He came to Navadvip, and there he met Jagannath Mishra, and Jagannath Mishra treated him as a guest in the house. He gave him all the ingredients because the Brahmana said, can you give me some ingredients because I want to cook and I want to offer it to the Lord. So Jagannath Mishra was very happy. Now, when the Brahmana was offering food to the Lord and he was meditating on Lord Vishnu in meditation, suddenly he looked up and he saw little Nimai in front of him. And to his horror, Nimai just took the bhoga that was being offered and started eating it very happily. And so the Brahmana became upset because he thought this boy has just ruined my offering. And he was quite upset. Jagannath Mishra came in and he begged forgiveness. And he said, cook a second time, get everything ready. And he sat there and he meditated on offering the bhoga. But just when he opened his eyes, little Nimai was sitting next to him and smiling. And he picked up all the food again and he ate it again. Now, thinking that today is not my day, I think Lord Vishnu doesn't want to accept my food. The Brahmana started fasting and he became agitated. He said, hi, what has been done? What has been done? So he felt very bad. So at that point of time, Nimai was put out. Jagannath Mishra took Nimai, took him out, set him in a room, locked the door, and then told the Brahmana, cook now. And so the Brahmana cooked for a third time. As he was ready to just cook at that point of time, what happened? He found at that point of time, right in front of him, he actually saw again Nimai was standing there. And one more time, Nimai ate everything. And the Brahmana became very agitated and he started not knowing what to do. And at that point, because nobody was around, Nimai then spoke to the Brahmana. And he said, my dear Brahmana, do you not recognize me? Formerly, I was the son of Mother Yashoda. At that time, you also became a guest in the house of Nanda Maharaj. And at that time, I also disturbed you in the same way. I am very much pleased by your devotion. And therefore, whenever you offer it, I cannot wait. I have to come and I want to eat all the food that you have prepared. When the Brahmana realized, my God, this is such a mercy of the Lord, he became greatly pleased and he was overwhelmed with love for Krishna. He became so thankful to Krishna and he found himself very, very greatly fortunate. Then the Lord told the Brahmana, don't disclose this incident to my parents, nor to anyone else. That's it. One more time, the Lord was actually sitting outside playing and he had so much jewelry on him because Sachimata would dress him up very nicely. Two thieves were watching him, just like in Krishna Leela. And then they decided to rob him. So they picked him up, put him on their shoulder and started to play a game. But while they were thinking that they were safely carrying the child away, by the great mercy of the Lord misled them. And after a while, they became so attracted to him. And instead of knowing where they went, they ended up coming back to the same house of Jagannath Mishra. And at that point of time, they put down little Nimai and they prayed for forgiveness. And this is how even the Lord showed us that even if we are not Krishna conscious, even if we approach Krishna with ulterior motives, still, even if we approach Krishna with material desires, it is still more important and more precious and more beneficial for us to approach Krishna because he's our whole and soul, instead of approaching any other person or any other personality. Akama sarva kamova moksha kama udaridihi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. In 2.3.10 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadeva Goswami declares this point so nicely. Whether you have desires, whether you have no desires, right? Or whether you desire for liberation, in all the circumstances, if you're truly intelligent, you will then always know that in all situations, simply by all means, worship the supreme whole, the personality of Godhead. This is the one, this is the point. And therefore, we must all become udaradihi. Udaradihi means with broader intelligence. It's a very important part of devotional service. And so later on, right, Mahaprabhu exhibited other very nice pastimes. For example, As a small boy, he would play, and with his playmates, he would go to the house of neighboring friends. He would steal their eatables and he would eat them. Sometimes the children would fight amongst themselves. Then they will all come together and lodge complaints about Nimai to Sachimata. And sometimes Nimai, just like when he was in Vrindavan, he would steal from the neighbor's house. Sometimes he would be chastised. Very often he would be rebuked. And Sachimata would say, "Why are you stealing other people's things, Nimai? Why do you beat the other children? And why do you go inside other people's houses? What do you not have in your house? You don't lack anything." And when he was rebuked by his mother, you know what he would do? He would go into his room with great anger. And as if not that was not enough, he would break all the pots there. Then Sachimata would come. She would take her son and put him on the lap. She would pacify him. And then the Lord would become very ashamed and he would admit all his faults. One time, Sachimata got so upset that she actually chastised with her hand. She gave him a little bit of a pat or a slap, you know. And at that point of time, Nimai began to cry, you know. And so what happened was Sachimata became very sad. Another time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, little Nimai, he chastised his mother and he slapped her on her face. And Sachimata pretended to just faint. And when the Lord saw her fainting, he began to cry. And then the neighboring ladies all came and they watched it and they knew that she was playing a part. But they then turned to the child, Nimai, and said, "Dear child, you please go outside and bring a coconut from somewhere, and then your mother will be cured." And Mahaprabhu, as little Nimai, went outside the house. And immediately with his potency, he came back not with one, but two coconuts. And all the ladies were astonished to see such wonderful activities, actually. So these were the beautiful pastimes of the Lord in the Ādi-līlā. In Ādi-līlā, education became the primary focus for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He studied grammar with the famous Ganga Das Pandit. And immediately his grammar became very, very pakka, very expert. He learned the grammatical definitions and rules, which people take for years. He learned them by heart just by hearing once. That is the greatness of Krishna. Just like Krishna learned 64 different arts with Sandipani Muni. How did he learn it? He heard it once and that was enough. Same thing, Nimai heard it once. That was how he did. At that time, right? So education was an important time of his life. And during that time, he explained to Mother Sachimata how we should never eat grains on Ekadashi. That's a very important point that the Lord established at that time. And during the Ādi-līlā, something very unexpected happened. You remember the Lord's elder brother Vishwarupa? Vishwarupa suddenly had a calling to become sannyasi. And even though his parents requested him not to do so, he decided to depart and he went to take sannyas. But the Lord stayed on and he pacified his parents and he continued to give them his strength. So that became very important. Then all of a sudden, one day, Jagannath Mishra left the world. Mahaprabhu was left with his mother and he consoled her and he was always there for her. And a short while later, Mahaprabhu met Lakshmi Priya. She was the daughter of Vallabhacharya and he married her and he entered into Grahastha ashram. And Sachimata became very pleased because the qualities of Lakshmi Priya are non-different from the qualities of Lakshmi Devi, because the Lord is non-different from Vishnu. So that was his Ādi-līlā. Then in the next part of Ādi-līlā, we see the Lord's Kaishora-līlā. At the age of 11, that's when Kaishora-līlā starts. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to teach students. So in Ādi-līlā, he learned grammar and he learned knowledge very well. And then he transmitted that into teaching in Kaishora-līlā. And at that point of time, he began to teach the students. And this is the time that marked a very important shift in Mahaprabhu. Because when he became a teacher, many, many students came to him. Every one of them was astonished to hear the way he would deliver his classes, his modes of explanations. He was so powerful that he could defeat all kinds of scholars when it came to discourses about scriptures. But because he was gentle in his behavior, nobody was unhappy actually. After some days, a very interesting incident happened. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to East Bengal And there he started the Sankirtan movement. Through grammar, he would speak about Krishna. And whenever it was possible, he would sing about Krishna. So at that point of time, right, all the people in East Bengal, today would be Bangladesh, hundreds of them came to the Lord, and many of them began studying under his direction. This is how the Lord sowed the seeds of the Sankirtan movement in East Bengal, Bangladesh. Now, while he was there was a boy, a very nice Brahmana, and his name was Tapan Mishra. Tapan Mishra was educated, older, but he had one problem. Despite all his reading, he was a widely read person. He could not ascertain the objective of life. He didn't even know how to attain it actually. And this is a very important point because Krishnadas Kaviraj Maharaj says in Ādi-līlā, 16th chapter, 11th shloka. And this is very important for us. He said this point. Bahu shastre bahu vake chitte brahmahaya. Sadhya sadhana shreshta nahaya nischaya. Thank you. Thank you. If one becomes a bookworm, reading many books and scriptures and hearing many commentaries and the instructions of many men, this will produce doubt within his heart. One cannot in this way ascertain the real goal of life. And if you see the purport, Prabhupada writes very nicely. He quotes Bhagavatam 7.3.18, which says, one should not read many books, nor should one try to make a profession of reciting many books, especially if one is a devotee. So Prabhupada says that we must give up the ambition to be a learned scholar. Sometimes, we may do classes, we may do preaching. After a while, we forget the essence of it is to become a devotee. But we want worldly reputation, we want financial facilities. So when you divert your mind to studying books in that manner, to become a learned pandit, and sometimes what happens even as devotees is, we have Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. These were the books Prabhupada gave us, and he gave us many small books. We should just be immersed in studying these books. Sometimes we don't even finish Srila Prabhupada's books, but we are hankering to study everybody else's books. We want to read this commentary, that commentary, but we haven't even read Srila Prabhupada's commentaries. That is the danger of it, actually. So give up the ambition of a learned scholar. And if we divert our attention too much to studying many books, Prabhupada writes in that purport, we cannot fix our mind in devotional service because our attention is many-branched. Very important. So Tapan Mishra was very bewildered. And so he was directed by a Brahmana in a dream to go and see this Nimi Pandit. At that time, that's how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was known. And this Brahmana in his dream said, he is the Lord himself. And therefore, he can give you proper directions. So Tapan Mishra took the trouble to go and see Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu became very satisfied when he saw the humility. And then he asked him about the objective of life. And he instructed him about what the real objective should be. After that, Tapan Mishra desired to actually live with the Lord in Navadvip. But the Lord told him, go to Varanasi in Benares. And he assured Tapan Mishra that they would meet again. Tapan Mishra followed his order and he went to Varanasi. At that time, when the Lord was in East Bengal, by the force of time and the arrangement of the Lord himself, Lakshmi Devi actually left this world. And the poison of the pain of leaving, right? Poison of separation from the Lord, it is nicely stated by Krishnadas Kaviraj Maharaj. In too much separation, she left this world. Sachi Devi was very distraught and she was feeling very lost. When Mahaprabhu heard that, he came back. He returned home to give solace to his mother. And he stayed there because she was greatly unhappy about the death of her daughter-in-law. The Lord came back with great wealth and many followers. He spoke to Sachi Devi about transcendental knowledge, and in that way he dispelled all the grief in her heart. After that, when he came back to West Bengal, right, he came back to Navadvip, Mahaprabhu continued educating others. And by the strength of his education, he conquered everyone. And now we come to the point of this particular pastime that's really nice. The Lord actually met a great scholar known as Keshava Kashmiri. This Keshava Kashmiri was actually a very great scholar, and he was traveling all over the India. And he came to Navadvip because he heard that there were great scholars, but he wanted to defeat them. But by the process of his speaking poetry, the Lord showed the flaws in his poetry. There's a very elaborate description of that. But just by its pointing out all the deficiencies of Keshava Kashmiri's poetry, after only hearing it one time, Keshava Kashmiri went back defeated. And in that night, he was just thinking that what has happened to me? I am the topmost of all great poets. I am the most learned scholar. How is it that this young Nimai Pandit could defeat me? No one could compete with me. And yet that has happened. As Keshava Kashmiri was leaving defeated by the Lord's friends were laughing. But the Lord stopped them. And he said that this poet is a great poet. You should not speak to him in this manner. And so in that way, the Lord did not want to put him down, but he wanted to teach him to become humble. In that night, right, in a dream, Keshava Kashmiri dreamt, right, where he saw the mother goddess whom he worshipped very much, was like an Ishta Devata to him. She informed him of the Lord's position in the dream. Mother Saraswati said, "You are such a fool, Keshava Kashmiri. The tongue that you think, the potency of what you speak is that which is coming from me, is actually coming from none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is none other than Nimai Panditaha. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead." And the next morning, when Keshava Kashmiri woke up, he ran to see Lord Chaitanya, and he surrendered unto his lotus feet. And the Lord bestowed mercy upon him. And in his heart, he cut off all the bondage to material attachment and scholastic achievements that Keshava Kashmiri was very much caught. So this is so important. It tells us that when we approach the study of Chaitanya Charitamrita, when we do Bhakti Sastri, when we read Bhagavatam, never approach it from a scholarly view or with a view that I can show off my knowledge after that. We miss the whole point. The whole point of Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Leela, Ādi-līlā, is so that we can imbibe it into our daily lives, so that it becomes a part of who we are, trying to be devotees. When we live Bhagavatam, when we live Chaitanya Charitamrita, then we taste the transcendental mellows of devotional service. And now we come to the final portion of Ādi-līlā, Yauvana-līlā. In Yauvana-līlā, the Lord took on a different mood. He exhibited his scholarship, but he was a youth. He had great beauty. He wore fine dresses. He danced and chanted very exquisitely, and he distributed the holy names of the Lord. He did that to attract people and then awaken dormant love of God in them. And so Lord Gaura Sundara was shining like a moon in Yauvana-līlā, right? That's very important. He would decorate himself very nicely. He garlanded himself with flowers. He smeared himself with sandalwood. And because he was very educated, no one could defeat him. And while he was teaching, he was defeating all kinds of bogus philosophies, actually. Now, in this time, he began to exhibit moments of ecstatic love for Krishna. But he would give the excuse that, oh, something is wrong with the movement of my bodily airs. That's why I'm coming out in different funny ways. But actually, the Lord was exhibiting ecstatic symptoms. And wherever he went, he was always accompanied by his confidential devotees. It is in Yauvana-līlā that Mahaprabhu one day went to Gaya. And after he went to Gaya, he met the great Ishvara Puri. Ishvara Puri, right, got the blessings of Madhavendra Puri, his spiritual master. Because of his great service to Madhavendra Puri, he got the benediction that he would become the spiritual master to the Supreme Lord. And the Lord fulfilled the statement of Madhavendra Puri when he surrendered to Ishvara Puri. And the moment he surrendered to him, he displayed all the great ecstatic symptoms of love of Godhead. And then he came back from Gaya. At that time, when he went away, Sachi Mata was very upset with Advaita Acharya. Because the Lord was traveling everywhere, she felt she was losing her son. And she blamed Advaita Acharya because she felt that it was because of him that all the problems had started and that Nimai now was too Krishna conscious. This may sound familiar to some of us sometimes when we take up Krishna consciousness, and sometimes our loved ones may feel, why are you so much into it, But Sachi Mata, in speaking that way, offended Advaita Acharya. And Mahaprabhu did not like it. And therefore, he created such an amazing pastime that at one point, when Advaita Acharya fell unconscious, Sachi Mata actually fell at his feet. And in doing so, she nullified her offense at the lotus feet of Advaita Acharya. So this is a very important point that we should remember. And during this time in the Ādi-līlā, the Lord exhibited his great Mahaprakash Leela. In that time, for 24 hours, he gave blessings to so many devotees. Mukunda was one of the devotees there. He was the great singer that melted Mahaprabhu's heart. But in the Mahaprakash Leela, Mahaprabhu did not call him, didn't even look at him. And Mukunda was sitting outside also. So Srivas Pandit asked Mukunda, why the Lord is not calling you and you are not coming? And the Lord became very upset when he heard that. He said, this Mukunda, by day he acts like a Vaishnava, then he goes away and hears the Mayavadis and he mixes up the philosophy. He's a hypocrite. I will never want to see him again. When Mukunda heard this from inside the room, he asked Srivas Pandit, please ask Mahaprabhu, I'm a fallen soul. Is there any chance for me to see him again? And Srivas Pandit went to see Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu said, tell him that I will only be able to see him 10 million lives after this. When Mukunda heard that, he started dancing in ecstasy. Instead of being very angry, sometimes when we take up Krishna consciousness, we think it's our God-given right that Krishna must give us everything. Mahaprabhu must give us everything, otherwise we're not happy with him. But Mukunda said, 10 million lives is still the mercy of the Lord. At least he wants to see me. And because he exhibited that love for God, Mahaprabhu forgave him. And he called him in and he gave him blessings during Mahaprakash Leela. It's amazing, actually. The one last pastime that we have time for, which I think we should cover towards the end of Ādi-līlā, just for a few minutes, is actually Mahaprabhu's civil disobedience, so to speak. And when he met Chand Kazi, who was his older, almost like an uncle to him, the Lord by that time had reached the peak of Yauvana Leela. And he had ordered all the citizens of Navadvip to chant the Harekrishna mantra. In each and every home, Sankirtan was regular. At that time, devotees would go out and they would sing, they would chant the Harekrishna Sri Madhusudana. So like that, they would sing, Now, when the Sankirtan movement started, no one in Navadvip, whether the Hindus or the Muslims, could hear anything except Hare Krishna. And when they heard this wonderful vibrations, all the residents who heard Hare Krishna mantra, they became very happy. But the local Muslim population, naturally, they became a bit disturbed. And they submitted a complaint to Kazi because they were concerned. Why are they going around and chanting so much? Last time they were quietly doing their own things, but now they are chanting so much. So one day Chand Kazi angrily came home, right? He came to someone's home and they were performing Hare Krishna mantra and chanting. And when he saw the kirtan going on, he took the mridanga and he broke it. And he said, as long as you're following the principles of the Hindu religion, if you do this, no one can perform Sankirtan ever in the city. Last time, you all never did chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. Who has caused you all to do this now? Henceforth, I declare, there will be no Nam Sankirtan. If I see anyone doing this, I will not only confiscate his property, but I'll also convert him. And that would be the end of it. Now all the distressed devotees ran to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and they told him, my Lord, this is what has happened. Mahaprabhu became upset. He said, don't worry. Go out there and perform Sankirtan. Go to your homes and tell everyone to meet me in the evening outside. We will chant the Hare Krishna mantra. So in the evening, the Lord gathered and the whole of Navadvip were there. They were holding torches, because it was dark. And Mahaprabhu came out. And Mahaprabhu formed 3 parties to perform Kirtan. In one party, he put Thakur Haridas. In the middle party, he put Advaita Acharya. And in the rear party, he himself with Nityananda who was there. There were dancers, Kirtan leaders, Mridanga players. It was an amazing Kirtan. And in this way, the whole kirtan came to Chand Kazi's house. And when Chand Kazi saw such a big crowd outside, he quickly ran inside and he hid himself there. When the Kazi was hiding himself, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and stopped everyone. And he reached the Kazi's house. He sat by the doorway and he asked someone to please call the Kazi. When the Chand Kazi came, his head was bowed. But the Lord stood up and he gave him proper respects, actually. And in a friendly way, the Lord said, "Sir, I've come to your house as your guest. But when you saw me, you went to hide yourself in the room. Is that the kind of etiquette we want?" Chand Kazi said, "You have come to my house in a very angry mood. So to pacify you, I did not come before you." Mahaprabhu said, "We are not angry. We are all dancing, smiling, and laughing. So why, you don't have to feel that way at all." But now the Chand Kazi said, "Now it is my good fortune to receive you." And then Chand Kazi reminded him. He said, "Actually, my dear Nimai, Nilambara Chakravarti Thakur, your grandfather, he was my uncle actually. So actually, we have a relationship. And because he is your maternal grandfather, by this relationship, you have become my nephew. When nephew is angry, the maternal uncle is tolerant. But when maternal uncle may commit some offense, the nephew should not take it seriously." What a nice discussion they had. So Mahaprabhu smiled and he spoke very nicely with the Chand Kazi at that point. So he said, "My dear uncle, I've come here to ask you some questions. You are drinking the cow's milk, and therefore the cow is your mother. You are getting benefit from the bull because he helps you to produce grain, so he's your father. So why must you kill them? Is it not such a sinful activity to kill your own parents?" The Kazi said, "Well, in your Vedic scriptures, you have provisions to kill the cow." Mahaprabhu corrected him. He said, "No, in our Vedic scriptures, the cows are put through sacrifice so that we can test the mantras. But every time they are put through a sacrifice, they are revived. But in this day and age, we don't have brahmanas who are strong enough to revive them. And therefore, in this day and age, this killing of the cow and the bull is actually forbidden." And in this way, the Chand Kazi's heart started melting. Then Mahaprabhu asked him a very important question. "Up to just a few days ago, you had banned Sankirtan. Then I heard before I came here that you allowed people to chant the Mahamantra. What caused it to happen, my dear uncle?" Chand Kazi said, "Let me speak to you about this privately." Mahaprabhu said, "There is nothing private here. Everyone is my personal associate. Tell me, tell me." He said, "When I went to the Hindu's house and I broke the mridanga at that point, when I came home in the night, I had a dream. In that dream, I saw a greatly fearful lion. It roared very loudly, and his body was like a human being's, but his face was a lion. When I was trying to sleep, the lion jumped on my chest, and he laughed fiercely and he showed his teeth. He put his nails on my chest, and he said in a grave voice, 'I shall immediately bifurcate your chest as you broke the mridanga drum. You have forbidden the chanting of my congregational chanting. I will destroy you.' I became very afraid of him, and I closed my eyes and I became very, very afraid. When the lion saw me being afraid, he said, 'I have defeated you just to teach you a lesson, but I must be merciful to you.' So, on that day, you did not create a great disturbance. I have excused you, and I have not taken your life. But if you do this activity again, I will not be tolerant. At that time, I will tear your chest, and I will consume everything within you, your entire family, and all the meat eaters." And then the lion left in the dream. And after that, Chand Kazi opened his clothings and he showed his chest. And to the astonishment of everyone, and even Mahaprabhu, all the marks of a lion's claw were still present on his chest. And then Chand Kazi said, "The next morning when I woke up, all the people whom I'd sent out to stop Kirtan, they came back to me. They said that when we tried to stop the chanting of the holy name, flames suddenly struck our face. Our beards were starting to burn, and there was blister on our cheeks. And then we stopped, and we did not want to do anything." After hearing the Chand Kazi speak so nicely, Mahaprabhu touched him, embraced him, and smilingly spoke as follows. My dear uncle, the chanting of the holy name of Krishna from your mouth has performed a wonder. It has nullified all the reactions of your sinful activities. Now you're supremely pure. I beg only one favor from you. Please pledge that this Sankirtan movement will never be checked, at least in the district of Nadia. And the Kazi said, I will decree this to all my descendants. Until today, the descendants of Chand Kazi have always given credence to that decree. And that is why today in Nadia, by the mercy of Mahaprabhu and around the world, somehow or another, in all situations, in all circumstances, the chanting of the Mahamantra still continues. Jai Chaitanya Ādi-līlā ki. All glories to Sriman Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to their lordships. And all glories to the assembled devotees. Thank you very much for your time. Hare Krishna.